The Connacht Motor Club returned to Dromahair, County Leitrim for the Tom Devaney Memorial Sligo Hillclimb, a further 2 rounds of the Alekto Irish Hillclimb and Sprint Championship 2023. It was to be a dry day on Saturday, but wet on Sunday. The dry conditions the first day on the twisty course seemed to suit the Hawthorne family attending the event in force with their Westfields. David was the fastest, hitting the pace immediately with a 55.95. Scott McMullen, their cousin, in the car Tom Devaney drove here last year, topped that on run 3 with a 55.78. But David moved on to a 55.67 on the same run, and these were their best times of the day for first and second overall. Stephen Hawthorne got down to a 56.16 by the 5th run for 3rd overall. Reigning champion Chris Houston was winding up his afternoon attack after seeing a 56.44 on run 3, but it all went horribly wrong on the 4th run when Chris reports that new tyres turned him in a moment sooner than expected. He was very lucky to come out of this unscathed. Éanna Carroll had a rough first run in the Turbo Honda Civic, but started building his times from there. By run 5 he was the fastest of the saloons, even surpassing the Westfield of Andy Hawthorne, the father of David and Stephen. John Donnelly was next in the Pilbeam NP62. I think the curves are just not long enough for the winged single-seaters to gain advantage, hence the low drag Westfields go well here. Ben O'Brien couldn't find a straight long enough for the vast power of the Gould to stretch itself. He was 8th overall and 3rd in Class 7 to Donnelly and Houston. Russell Stanworth, still playing the championship game, set consistent times over the day, down to a 57.21 on the final run, holding off one of the last people in the running, Shane Bell, in the Subaru Impreza, who completed the top 10. Dara Fay was fastest once again in Class 1A, both days in the Suzuki Swift, and right up there overall on day 2. Ray Cunningham battled with the Class 2 Mini of Carl Johnson over the 2 days. Remarkably, they set equal times on Saturday, with Johnson winning his class. In the wet Sunday, Ray was faster by over a second. Elaine Kerwin also looked to other class competitors for a competition, equaling Leo Cunniff's 3A Punto on Saturday. Leo went 0.15 quicker than her Sunday. Billy White took another 2 wins in the Centos by a strong margin, but his wife Quiva and Johnny Murray have been enjoying a good old battle throughout the season. After getting the upper hand in Donegal, Quiva had to give best to Johnny both days on the Sligo Hill. Chris Snow took Class 2 on Sunday with a committed drive in the conditions. Thomas Sheedy was 2nd to Johnston the first day and 3rd behind the Mini the 2nd. Joe Clifford took a 3rd and a 4th over the weekend, sharing his Civic. Talking of Civics, I had a chat with championship sponsor and 3A driver Tommy Gardner as his tyres were being changed for the wet on Sunday.
My minions are working away here. Yeah. Minion 1, Minion 2.
They're quick minions as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they've his on first though. That's I'm a bit disappointed about that.
Yeah. They've got their priorities right.
Yes.
So what's going on there?
No, we were just cleaning up tyres there in practice now, so we've put on the big Brian Cowan beating Avon's. That's the plan.
I think it was a sore point when I mentioned he was in second in the championship arriving here.
I'm continually in second.
Yes.
You had to bring the hops down, didn't you? Yeah.
Then I mentioned the virtual chicane that's being used just before the final corner to slow the cars down, through a tricky spot where incidents have occurred in the past. Virtual chicane. Your initiative.
Yes.
How's it going?
This is the... no, it's grand. We're all learning. I'm learning. The lads that are going through it are learning. You know, next year, if it's something that we go ahead with, or the position tries to go ahead with, it's like there's a big advantage to it. The only thing then is, like, people don't like change, and it takes a bit away from the actual element of driving. In other words, you're not going around something, but you have to weigh the two things up and see which is more beneficial for the sport. So look, jury's out on it. You know, anything that anybody wants, you know, done with it, or thinks there's improvements in it, we listen to everybody. We've made a few little changes today based on things that we heard last night, and we'll see how they go. But no, I mean, technically from that end of it, it's all right. But I don't mind it, but maybe there are others that do. But
at least it does appear to be impartial. He got the dreaded white flag himself on Sunday afternoon, forfeiting the run for not slowing down enough through the beam measured sectors.
Donegal was a very fast hill, and you know, we had an incident in practice, and that happens. But I mean, we had like 580 passes through the chicane with no problems. So look, I mean, we had in Kerry with no problems with it, Westmeath no problems. But you know, it is still a test. If people see something with it that they'd like, bar throw it across the hedge, you know, I'll definitely listen to everybody. And next year, then, you know, I give it to the clubs, and they can do it, because I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore. 5 o'clock in the morning and late evening pack-ups are a big commitment to someone competing as well. The tyres didn't prove to be Kerwin beaters in the end, and Tommy was third in Class 3A both days, but he talks of plans for next year with a glint in his eye. I know, I have a different project on for the winter now, so
yeah. Says with a smile.
Yes. Yeah.
Willie Barrett had gone well in Class 3B Saturday, 13th overall, and just behind Shane Bell in Class 3B, but recorded only one time on Sunday. Brian O'Donnell kept afloat in the wet conditions on day 2 with the MX5 in Class 3C, taunting the conditions. John Farrell was the quickest on scratch each day with his Mark 1 Escort in historic Class 4. He was enjoying the weekend with friend Mick O'Shea, second in the class with his MGB GT. Sean McNamara in the Van Diemen kept Enda Burns V at bay on Saturday and had the class to himself on Sunday when Enda and Siobhan decided not to drive in the slippy conditions. Siobhan had been third in the dry. John Mahon was second to Scott McMullen on the dry day in Class 6, pushing a bit hard on the left-hander into the right hairpin on the first run. He decided he'd used up enough of his luck and headed home on the wet Sunday morning. Third was Thomas Corrie in the Reynard SF80 the first day, and he was awarded for his perseverance with a class win on day 2, beating even Scott McMullen, who'd been second overall the previous day. Barry Mahon took the 2 class wins in Class 8A over the weekend in his Peugeot 205. Class 8B was an all-Honda Civic affair on Saturday with Patrick Bradley the fastest of these. Colm Connor was second, with these two only contesting the first day. On Sunday, David Hunt brought a bit of variety into the class, winning in his Peugeot 208. Keith Ewing was second on Sunday, and Dalton McGowan was third both days. Christopher Snow won Class 9B both days and found himself in the thick of the top 10 on Sunday. Alan Quinn was second in an Opel Manta on Saturday, a type of car we don't see enough of anymore. Also reminding us of some fast history was Derek Robinson, third in a Talbot Sunbeam the first day. Second in 9B Sunday and 9th overall was Ferland Taylor in his rear-wheel drive 205 converted Peugeot 205. He just held off John McGettrick's Mark 2 Escort, third in the class and 10th overall on day 2. David Quinn collected Class 10 wins each day in his Subaru Impreza. Saturday had gone really well for the Hawthorns and their cousin Scott McMullen. I asked them their thoughts after the first wet run on Sunday.
It's been brilliant so far.
Yeah.
But just hope for dry weather today, but still good. Good to be out.
It's a whole dynasty. This is your dad, Andy, as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the catalyst, I suppose, to say.
You got them into it, did you?
I got them in there.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic piece of road up there.
Yeah.
We bit everything, fast, slow. It's great. No, nice driving hill, isn't it?
And brilliant.
David, at what time yesterday did you see that you might actually have this?
Whenever the final run gets posted, I would have said anybody in the top 8 could have possibly won. When you're looking at the times, you're a tad nervous. So no, it was a great day. So,
and do you think, is there any chance, Stephen, of catching this fella?
Be hard to catch today, anybody. I can't even get one green light, never mind catch somebody.
So you're struggling a bit to get stopped in the virtual chicane, is it?
Got a red light that time. That's the first time, but
yeah,
it's a bit disheartening when you go through and you get the white flag.
And you've your own car. You don't share yours.
No, they'll be too quick in my car, so I'm behind the 8 ball with that one.
And it's your nephew Scott as well. He was
yes,
out.
He's got Tom's own car.
Yeah,
yeah.
And he's the one that split you.
he's the one that he's in the middle of us.
Yeah.
So it's good now. It's a good day. Great, well run hill.
And overall during the year, you've done sprints and hills in the north.
Yeah.
And how's your season gone?
Well, David, I'm leading the class, but David's just behind me, so it's very, very close. So there's 2 rounds left, and Stevie's 3rd, I think, aren't you?
Don't know.
Yeah.
You're fairly easy going about this. Well, very good. Listen, wish you every success with the rest of it, and it was great to see you here.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
The weather really didn't suit the younger generation on day 2, with neither the twins nor their cousin making the top 10. But their dad, Andy, was inspired. He was 2nd overall after the first run, behind Shane Bell's 4-wheel drive Subaru Impreza by just over 7/10 on a low 1.04. Dara Fay was 3rd in the Suzuki Swift, also on the same 2nd. Damien Walsh was 4th in the SHP Wildcat. What a mix of cars. Oliver Kamaiken was also enjoying the all-wheel drive experience, 5th in his Mitsubishi Evo 5. Run 2 and Shane Bell was into the 103s, with Dara Fay now 2nd. Damien Walsh was 3rd, with Christopher Snow up to 4th, and now Ferland Taylor 5th in the rear-wheel drive 205. Andy Hawthorne had dropped right back after run 2, but caught back up into 5th on 3. Shane Bell was in the 102s on that run, but with the road now drying, he was slower on 4, and his debut win was looking under threat when Brian Kerwin landed into 2nd place with a mid-103 and Andy Hawthorne just behind him. Damien Walsh was seeing his first podium slipping away, also in the 103s behind Hawthorne. Fay was back in 5th. A light shower of rain before run 5 might have sealed it for Bell, but he stormed up the hill and made it certain with a 101.15. Andy Hawthorne secured 2nd place with a 102.65 on that run. Damien Walsh also dug deep for a 102.73 to take his debut overall podium finish. In an almost carbon copy of last year, Dara Fay just edged out Brian Kerwin by 0.05 of a second for 4th. Christopher Snow was 6th, pushing his Civic very hard for the overall result. Oliver Kamaiken ended up with 7th overall in the Mitsubishi. John Donnelly was the fastest single-seater in 8th place for the Class 7 win. Also in Class 7, Championship leader Russell Stanworth was desperate to get any time on the board, forfeiting Run 1, Run 2 and Run 3. Finally, there was no white flag on 4 and he managed 14th overall by the end of the day, but many ahead of him are not Championship registered. His points margin will have taken the hammering though from Bell, with just 2 rounds to go at the Limerick Hillclimbs. Shane Bell, now provisional results, but I think we're fairly certain now.
Yeah.
A Hillclimb winner, National Hillclimb Championship round winner.
Yeah, that's good. I'm more than delighted. I've been this close like loads of times, well not loads of times, a couple of times.
Yeah, certainly like Donegal last year, like it was close.
Christ, and Donegal and what else? There was another one. Another one was 2nd as well. What was it? Anyway, so delighted.
And it was tense because I think around run 4 it was starting to dry out a bit.
Yeah, the lads were coming, lads were coming, and I had to keep going, and I went another second faster there in the last run, and I was happy with that. So yeah, brilliant. I'm delighted.
I'll leave the last words from the Sligo Hillclimb at Dromahair, County Leitrim to Dom Devaney's wife Linda and David Hawthorne, who she presented with the prize for fastest over the 2 days.
I'd just like to thank Connacht Motor Club for naming this event after Tom. And he had no idea what it meant to him last year, and the love and support from this club to him and like there was a few bad days and he'd lay in the bed and he talked about it. And like he all stood here, he tried to talk last year, he wasn't able to talk. But it meant he could see the love and support that it meant so much. So I just like to thank him that it meant a lot to him to the very end. And he'd love to have been here today. And who I'm going to present the prize to, he would be delighted. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Linda. Tom, great guy. He was the one that encouraged us to come down. This means a lot. Goodness. Thank you very much.